What's up, everybody? This is A7X Van Ben with another fleet making video. This is going to be kind of a UPS variant gimmick fleet. There's a way to make it work at 40 points, but I'm going to do a 50-point build just to change it up a little bit from some of the past UPS fleets. So, Canoe Vacuum Farmers is going to be the name of it, tentative name. So the idea is to use native canoes to redock at Mysterious Island number 1 on the first turn and suction or vacuum as much gold as possible to the island, and then explore it, and have all the coins at one island. So kind of a weird gimmick fleet, but I think it's worth trying out. So you'll see kind of the idea of it as I go along here. So I'm actually going to add the American canoes first. So I thought about doing a different native canoe faction, but the American ones are generally the best, and I don't really want to use a Return to Savage Shores one because then those don't technically exist, so you have to proxy them, things like that. The American ones work well because they will cost us less points than Spanish or Cursed. I think you could do the Spanish ones for 18 on a 9-point Spanish ship, but the Spanish and Cursed, they don't have a crew like Captain Charles Richard, who we're going to add in order to get the Chieftain on a ship that costs less than the point cost of the Chieftain. So we're going to add the Rattlesnake. We're going to add Captain Charles Richard, the Savage Shores version, because he has the crew cost no points ability. They still count against the build total, but so we'll have the Chieftain on the Rattlesnake, and we're also going to add our +5 crew here. So this is going to be an 18-point output total. So the Chieftain is assigned to the Rattlesnake. They assume the point cost of the native canoes. So that's 10 plus 8 for the other stuff. So we're at 18 so far. The Rattlesnake has 3 crew because she would have the Chieftain as well. And now we're going to add the next ship. So Haipeng is going to be there. It is still a Universal Pirate shipping variant. So we're going to have our Haipeng with the right crew here to be effective. And we're going to do Jimmy Legs to be able to sack and send home coins faster. And we're also going to add Helmsman and Explorer so that we can get from one island to another in one action, preferably with LS total speed, the +L coming from Captain Jack Sparrow and the +S coming from the Helmsman. So we're already at 43. We are going to add Hidden Cove as well. So it's not supposed to be the most competitive UPS fleet. It relies a lot on island placement luck and if you use Mysterious Islands or not, because Wolf said if players can't agree on whether or not Mysterious Islands will be used, you have to let fate decide with the D6 roll. So if you don't get that roll, this fleet is kind of purpose is kind of silly. So ideally, you would agree with the other player to use Mysterious Islands before you even go to the game. So that's the ideal situation. So, and the idea is to either build a fort on this island or just totally suction the best coins and win really quickly. So we're going to add our typical core build over here and put some Pirate Oarsmen on her to trade out to the Haipeng so she can sack them. Let's start with 3. I'm not sure how many I'm going to go with. That gets us to 53 with the Hidden Cove, so 2 points left. So I might do, I guess, Rattlesnake. She doesn't have any actions to give as of now, but Ralph David is 3 points, so I might add a Pirate Oarsman or 2 to the Rattlesnake. Yeah, I'll do that actually. So I think I want all these to be pirate because the Haipeng can actually use them with sack. So we're gonna add I'm just doing this on the fly. I'm not really sure if I'll keep this or not, but so Rattlesnake in that case should have all 5 spaces taken up. She might start the game with just the American crew and then have the Pirate Oarsman on the home island, and kind of like I've talked about with a few other UPS fleets, if you go second and your opponent plays Becalmed on you and freezes your ships, Haipeng should use the free transfer rule to load an Oarsman so she can still move on the first turn. So the reason I want Haipeng in this fleet and it makes it a 50-point fleet instead of 40. You can make this work at 40 if you do Banshee's Cry with Captain Jack Sparrow and Explorer, that saves you a ton of points. You can cut out 10 points. It's a 10-point cheaper ship. Banshee's Cry is only 3. So you can do a 40-point version. The reason I want Hai Peng in here is because you want to be able to send treasure home on the first turn. And the way the Mysterious Island meta might work is if you bring 3 copies of Mysterious Island number 1, and those are your 3 that you contribute. If your opponent contributes no Mysterious Islands, there might only be 1 of these that's actually available for the game. So if both of the other Mysterious Island number 1s are picked as home islands, you're only going to have 1 to go to. So that's where you would put your native canoes. You would dock them. They would start the game docked at the Mysterious Island number 1 that's available. And then you would use Hai Peng, Hidden Cove out to, whatever, the nearest unexplored wild island on the first turn. But then you might need 2 actions. You might actually have to sack an oarsman on the first round from that you would load as a free transfer rules. So it'd be good to know that before you Hidden Cove the Hai Peng out, if you're going to need to sack right away or not. But ideally, you would only need 1 move action after Hidden Coving to reach the island that the canoes are docked at. So it gets a tiny bit, not so much complicated, but there's just things to keep in mind if it's a somewhat competitive game. It's not supposed to be a super competitive fleet, but it is a UPS fleet that gets the right luck. It could be disgusting. So big one for native canoes, cannot be given an explore action on your first turn, but we actually don't want to. So we actually just want to move and redock, and that will trigger the effect of Mysterious Island number 1. So you're going to do it real slow. You're going to move 1 canoe, like S away from the island, L back to the island, redock, and then you trigger this effect. So the idea, it might not work because you might not get the best rolls, but hopefully you'll get any bad rolls out of the way early in the turn. And then even if you send, let's say, so all 5 canoes can redock. Let's say the first 2 get bad rolls, and then you have to move the treasure coins to another wild island. And then let's say canoes 3 and 4, if they both got a 5 or 6, you could suction basically almost all the treasure from the other islands. So if you got lucky early, you would only give move actions to a few of the canoes, and the other ones would just not be given move actions, or they could move away from the island and just stay like a few millimeters away from the island or something if you still wanted to move them, which is fine. But because they don't really have much protection docked at the wild island. So ideally you would get the 5 or 6 on the first 2 canoes, and then you would basically vacuum all the other 12 coins in play. If it's a 1v1 game with 4 per island, you would suction all the gold to this island with your first actions of the game. So then you have like this kingpin island that has all the treasure on it. And then you start using Hai Peng. So then you Hidden Cove out, and then you move over to this island, and then you start sending treasure home. And I'm going to add UTs next, because this fleet might be able to take pretty good advantage of the white UTs. So we want to, I don't know if we really even want Pirate Globe. I don't know about that. We'll see. I might add that one later, but really what I'm interested in is the white UTs, as I call them. So they remove all face-up unique treasures from the game, because this fleet might run into fleets that use a lot of negative UTs. It's something I've seen become like pretty standard practice with anti-UPS fleets, and it's a really good tactic for countering them. So as a result, we're going to plan ahead and expect that. So the nice thing about finding these unique treasures is that when unique treasures are found, and you basically reveal them all at the same time, but then you can apply their effects in any order. The exploring player, the current player's turn, they get to choose the order in which they're applied. So reveal all, and then load all revealed unique treasures face up, and you apply them. So then you would apply these wipers before stuff like wolves or natives or plague or missionary can take effect. So you just wipe them out. So the nice thing about the suction ability on the island is that if you suction all the gold to this island, you explore, you're looking at all the 16 coins in the game in that explore action. So you'll find all the negatives, but you're guaranteed to find the codex and the idol. So then you just be like, oh, nothing, no problem here. So I'll put Jailhouse Dog in too. There could be problems at this island. Obviously, this is one of those luck-based UPS fleets where you have to get lucky enough to use Mysterious Islands if the opponent doesn't want to, and then you do want to go first, because you don't want your opponent to like have a Zeus sack over to the island and crush your canoes before they can even move and redock, and you want to just suction all the gold as fast as possible and start trading home. It could even result in a first turn, maybe not a first turn win, because I think you'd have to. Well, if you got super lucky, if you got really lucky and you pulled this off and you suctioned all the gold, you could end up with 2 7s at this island. If there's any 7s in the distribution, you might find all of them right away. And then you could trade one to the core, get it plussed up, +2 for 9. And then with the high peng, she could sack an oarsman, redock, send home another one to Rattlesnake, and then she unloads it 7, and then you'd have 16. So not super likely, but you could theoretically win on the first turn, I think. So yeah, originally I was thinking about using this in a 40-point competitive fleet, but I don't like the idea of Banshee's Cry not being able to reach this mysterious island on the first turn. So, because if it's 3L distances apart, she's not going to have sack in this 40-point setup. She would just have CJS and an Explorer, I think, and Jonah. So, yeah, because then if you add Jimmy Legs, that's 4 cargo, and then you don't have space for the oarsman because it takes up space with Jonah aboard. So Banshee's Cry can't reach the next closest Wild Island to the Hidden Coved one in one action, whereas High Peng can, potentially, if the islands are kind of close. You want the islands as close as possible, so High Peng can just hop from one to another in one action rather than needing both actions. So Banshee's Cry is essentially guaranteed to need 2 actions just to get to a different one in one turn. So that's kind of a weakness of using Banshee's Cry, especially in the 40-point version of this. So it's also, I made so many 40-point UPS variants. It's fine. It's a good time to change it up a little bit. So make a 50-point version. For terrain, I'd probably just say Fogbangs to hide. So High Peng and the canoes can potentially stay safe. Coins, I don't really know yet. So we've got the UTs. We've only got 3 so far. I don't think we really need the revealer UTs. I guess they could be useful. I guess I'll just include them. I don't know. There might be a better option, like maybe relics or some kind of defensive UT could be better, but I think this is still a good thought, especially in case you don't vacuum all the gold right away. Like if you get bad rolls at the Mysterious Island or something, this might become more useful, because then you'll see if you actually want to dock there. Because if you can't guarantee that the codex or the idol is on the island, you might want to see them all. Like if an opponent explores before you, that could actually be really helpful. So, because then I guess theoretically, per the UTs, I think even with the Mysterious Island ability, I think you would. This is a tough one. I might actually have a rules question about this, because I think with the UTs, obviously they turn the treasure face up for the remainder of the game. So I think to use this and make it random at the MI, you would turn them over just to make it random, and then once that treasure movement is done, I think they would flip face up again. But that's kind of a fun question to ask Wolf. So anyway, I think that mostly covers it. I didn't add forts. So, that's another fun idea with this fleet, is you could theoretically build Paradise on the first turn. It'd be hilarious to build a fort on an island that has all the treasure in it. because then your opponent has no choice but to attack the fort or try to raid your home island. But yeah, you could trade home a coin, plus it up with Aristide, and then whatever, use the coin to build a fort at the end of the first turn. And then if that island has all the treasure on it, then it's like a kingpin fort. So another silly UPS gimmick. There's a lot of fun ways to kind of exploit this. And MI, Mysterious Island Farming, is one way to do it. So we've got those forts. I'll just add Thompson's just in case. Or actually, I guess I should add Pierre as well. So whatever. That's fine. Have all the forts available. So yeah, 50-point UPS gimmick luck-based fleet. Probably not the greatest, but fun option. And I think that does it. So I got some other Mysterious Island farming ideas that you'll probably see as well. So feel free to subscribe for that and like this video. Feel free to comment what you think of it. And feel free to check out the affiliate links in the description below. If you buy from those via eBay, you'll help out the channel and my site, Pirates with Ben. Appreciate you watching, and see you again for more videos.